Welcome to another edition of Dolphins in Depth, a podcast brought to you by the Miami Herald. Looking for a sponsor. When we're going to find a sponsor, let's see. And right now, this is going to be a special edition of Dolphins in Depth. Barry is busy covering the fire sale that the Florida Marlins are having right now, and the University of Miami's media day, because Barry is a jack of all trades. And I am bringing in my pinch hitter. I think he'd probably feel disrespected by being called my pinch hitter, but basically he's my boo. And for those who know, I only call Alan Poupard my boo. Welcome back, boo. We're together again from our days at All Dolphins, here to talk about day 6 of Dolphins training camp. And I've also got a bone to pick with you about a number of other issues that, yeah. We'll do that. But first, let's get into what we saw in training camp. Day 6, the Dolphins have a 3-day break. They do practice 3 days, break, practice 3 days, break, practice 3 days, exhibition game, and that's their schedule. So today, we saw our first skirmish. Our first 6'7", 320-pound man suplexing a cornerback. Obviously, he didn't throw him down on his head, but he probably could have. And I'm referring to Patrick Paul. Kader Kohou got into a physical altercation with Jalen Wright. Defending rookie, Patrick Paul comes to his defense, picks up Kader Kohou, and then probably gives him a graceful dismount. It was what capped off a physical practice, probably the worst showing from the offense all training camp, and it ended with a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 situation where Mike McDaniel was clearly trying to work on something that was a weakness of the team last year, and it led to fisticuffs. Your take, Poupard.
My take is pinch hitter. Really? Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, this is what's going to happen. This was practice number 6. They're going against the same guys. It was hot today. It was hot and muggy. Then Mike McDaniel ended the practice with the 3rd and 1. A lot of those were running plays, and there was like some contact that we hadn't seen before.
They were going to the ground.
Oh, correct. So you hang on to the tackle or the block a second longer, and it's hot, and I'm tired of seeing your face, and all of a sudden, get out of my face, and that's when tempers flare, and it's absolutely not unusual. Those things happen every training camp.
Every training camp. Day 1 or day 2 of pads. It's tradition.
Absolutely. A tradition unlike no other.
So you're saying strategically, Mike McDaniel strategically placed the 3rd and 1 drill for the final period of his 6th day, 2nd day in pads, expecting fisticuffs.
I don't know if he expected fisticuffs, but if he was going to leave it, it was going to be at the end of practice. So where if something does happen, it's not going to disrupt things. So, and then by my count, when they did run the ball on 3rd and 1 in that drill, more often than not, they didn't get a first down. I know the first play didn't get a first down. Then Jalen Phillips was watching from the side, came in like, ooh, for the defense. And the last play also, the runner was stuffed. I can't remember who it was. There were a couple of first down runs, including Jeff Wilson, like went through the hole, but then he wound up getting bent backward and comes up limping. I don't know that. Yeah, it's something the Dolphins need to get better at. Not 100% convinced that they have the personnel to get much better at it, but certainly they have to try.
Well, they don't have the personnel with the left side of their starting offensive line basically in bubble wrap. I'm not defending them because they had that personnel and they still couldn't get it done last year. So, but what I love about this team is that they know every single narrative about what that's being said about their team. In fact, and I'm not taking credit for this, yesterday my column in the Miami Herald was Dolphins need to turn up the volume on their physicality. Stop being a BA team.
Or stop being a finesse team, like somebody, I don't know.
I prefer my way. Yes,
Yes, you do.
soft. They say it's all because we're a speed team. No, you've been that team before you became a speed team. If you kind of, I don't even think during the Brian Flores era they had a toughness to them that, and it's not more so physical. I think it's more so mental. Disagree? Degree?
Yeah. No, I'm not. Somebody brought that up, and I don't know that I'm going there. I think the 2020 team was plenty physical enough. That's a team that overachieved, wound up 10-6, and they got spanked by Buffalo in the regular season finale. Not because they weren't physical enough, because they couldn't cover in the back end after the first quarter. If you recall, in that game, they lost 56-26. It was either scoreless or the Dolphins were up 7-0 after the first quarter, and then it all went to crap. With Isaiah McKenzie, I believe Homestead High zone, torching the Dolphins for like 3 touchdowns that day as a punt return for a touchdown. I don't think it was an issue of physicality. And I know we're going to go with this with Jalen Ramsey in his speech, and we want to be the bullies. I don't know that it's been an issue on defense. I don't think they got bullied on defense or overpowered on defense last year.
They certainly did by Baltimore. Buffalo.
It's not like the one team that literally the one team that ran the ball. I hate that expression, but I'm going to use it again. The one team that ran the ball down the throats of the Dolphins last year, ironically enough, was the Charger in the opener. They rushed for like 234 yards. Outside of that, I think Baltimore, Lamar Jackson hurt him with his passing. So on the other side offensively is Dolphins are built on speed. They're not built, so I don't know how you can be a physical bullying type of team when your calling card is speed.
I think it more so has to do with mentality. And what Poupart is referencing is Jalen Ramsey gave a nice 10-minute speech, and Jordan Brooks acknowledged that it was a 10-minute speech. I was actually out there doing something of my own, and I actually saw it, which is something that you're not allowed to see. And I heard it. I didn't hear every word of the speech, but you could hear it from a good 50 yards away. And Jordan, you could tell that Jalen Ramsey was a little bit bothered and miffed by what Jordan Brooks said during the first day of training camp or access for us about how basically when he was with the Bills, they knew that the Dolphins would fold, and in typical Jalen Ramsey fashion was like, well, that's them. That's not us. That's not me. I ain't got nothing to do with that. We're going to create an identity. And Jordan Brooks acknowledged he's here to try to create that identity. And there are a number of Jordan Poyer. I said Brooks. Yeah. Jordan Poyer kind of has a soft tone. Let's hope he plays a little bit more physical than he talks. But the point is, they know the narrative. They want to change their identity. And in fact, I talked to Tyreek Hill today about it. And Tyreek had the same tone about, I'm glad this fight happened. I've been on a good team. Is like, this is what always happens with good teams. And they seem to believe that this is what good teams do. And it's about imposing your will, continue to fight. And that's how you build that. That's how you create that mentality. Will it work? I don't know. So let's address some of the other things that happened in practice today. I said it was a stinker. You would agree. Stinker, yes?
Well, from the offensive standpoint, yes.
We still had snapping issues. This is day 4 of Snapgate. I think it's more of an issue of Aaron Brewer is a little too low for Tua. He's got to get adjusted. Saw them working on the snaps after practice. Clearly this isn't something like they're saying, we'll figure it out later. No, they're working on it. Jordan Poyer pulled down an interception. He's practiced for 3 days. He's now probably made an impact play all 3 days. I believe he had a fumble recovery, an interception, and then, before you got here, brother.
No, I'm talking about yesterday. I didn't see anything from him yesterday.
No. He didn't practice yesterday. I'm talking about every day that he practiced.
He was out there yesterday.
He missed one this week. Maybe it was the first one.
Okay, Sunday maybe.
Yeah, but Jordan Poyer looks okay. He's clearly going to be the starter because Marcus May is not really challenging anybody. I think Elijah Campbell's probably safety number 3. I'm not going into the depth chart, but if I had to rank him, he'd be safety number 3. He was, by the way, the orange jersey player today. A heavy obsession with Drake and J. Cole. I didn't hear any Kendrick Lamar, which the West
I know.
Coast.
I was completely bummed about that. I was like, "Where's my
I
Kendrick
figured
Lamar?"
you were like, how do you not play any Kendrick Lamar? You're just fueling the beef there.
I was in a funk the whole day, and that's what it was. I'm not going there with music because I ragged on Eminem being too angry for my taste, and I got chastised on Twitter, including by Hannah Seeler, Zach Seeler's wife. Because I made the point that he's like sings so angry, it's like stressful to listen. She goes, "You ever heard of Hulk Hogan? He's angry too." I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard of Hulk Hogan. I don't want to hear him sing though." I mean.
Yeah, but they need that kind of anger mentality to play football. You do realize that, right? It's
okay. That's fine. But I get that. I mean, but to me, musically, well, it's.
Zach Sealer's day felt like a hoedown. It was like
yeah, there was a lot of that too.
Switching from the music, Jonnu Smith, 2 drops on passes to Tua. I haven't seen yet, and I'm not criticizing him, but I have not seen him I've seen him do a nice run. I have not seen an impactful catch yet. He's also on a maintenance program, so he's probably working every other day. So it's not really a fair assessment. The one thing I will tell you that I noticed, and I watched this closely, Chop Robinson's heating up a little bit. What are you?
Damn. The 2 days for those not aware, for those who just are here for Omar and not familiar with me or my work, I was
at alldolphins.com and
what? No, Miami Dolphins on si.com/NFL/Dolphins. I was away on a flying vacation in Norway and Iceland. Got back Sunday. The 2 practices I saw Chop Robinson was all over the place. I mean, you want to talk about noticeable? Holy smoke.
That's super hype. I'm sorry. He can't set an edge yet.
He's in the backfield. I mean, like, my Lord, they're about to charge him rent in the backfield.
Because he gets off the ball so quickly.
Can he
play first down?
We don't know yet. We haven't really seen that. I haven't seen any plays that got outside of him because he failed to contain the edge. What I'm seeing is a guy who's in the backfield like that.
It happened yesterday. He over pursues play. Listen, we're in the weeds. He's got 3 exhibition games. He's clearly going to be in a prominent role, if not a pass rusher. My concern is, can he play first down? And at this present, or Mohamed Kamara, can either one of them play first down? At the present moment, the answer is no. But he's going to be I said what I said.
I know. Don't you think it's a little bit of a premature evaluation?
It's an early evaluation. Did Jalen Phillips spend the first half of his rookie season on the sidelines on first downs because he couldn't set the edge? Yeah.
I remember.
Jalen Phillips turned it up in his second half of his season because he got more snaps because he finally got better at setting the edge. It's going to be a challenge I've watched Connor Tanner. No disrespect to Connor Tanner.
Tanner Connor.
God damn it. It's it's all something I struggle with. I watched Tanner Connor Metro Rail him, and a Metro Rail is a tribute to Art Kehoe, who used to when you grab the guy you're blocking and you take him for a ride. I watched Tanner Connor Metro Rail Chop Robinson, and there's no way I should see that. Would you not agree?
No, that's not a good look. I agree.
So he's got work to do. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But speaking of tight ends, I would make the argument to you that they are the deepest unit on the Dolphins team. And let me make my case here.
Go by all means.
All right, we know where the only I'm talking about what's on the practice field, not Odell Beckham, who's in bubble wrap, and really, I would tell you the receivers have been mediocre, with the exception of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and maybe River Craycraft, and maybe Braxton Berrios, and they've just been okay. Name me the backup guy who's done well. Nobody.
Anthony Schwartz had a good catch today.
Yes, he did. And Braylon Sanders had a good catch the day before that, but everybody else and Malik Washington, I think, had a good catch today. But I think that was in one-on-ones, and that's not fair because I shouldn't count one-on-ones.
Yeah, and I was zoning him on him on one-on-ones, and it was like,
Really?
Anyway.
My point is, here's my argument to you. Tight end, say what you want about Durham Smythe. He's going to be the starter. He's one of the best inline blockers in the NFL. The number one job for the Dolphins tight end is to block, is to be the guy who cleans up everything and sets the edge on the perimeter runs that they have. So Durham Smythe's going to have a role. He was the third leading receiver on this team last year. Not phenomenal numbers, but you know who Durham is. Let's not disrespect him.
Put some respect on his name.
Yeah, let's put some respect on his name. Then we've got Jonnu Smith, who we all know is an athletic tight end. Even though he hasn't really put it on the practice field so far in training camp, he's battling an injury seemingly. We know he's one of the best yards after catch tight ends in the NFL. We know that he gives you a lot of rack. Okay, put that where it is. Then you have Julian Hill, who Durham Smythe says might be the strongest tight end in the NFL. Durham has value from the standpoint of he is a good, strong, inline Durham Smythe type. Maybe he can give you a little bit more pass catching. And then I'm going to go with Tanner Connor, who has been a pleasant surprise for me during this camp. Mm-hmm. Tanner looks like he's sponge worthy in terms of how he, yeah. Come on, you know.
It's a funny term. Go ahead.
He looks like he's blocking is better. His route running is good. All the plays that are for Jonnu Smith, he's out there executing them. And then you got, Jody Fortson, who's not really shown up yet. Mm-hmm. And the kid that I like, which is, I'm not ready. Hayden Rucci. And I'm not ready to put my name on him, but Hayden Rucci, he's holding his own on his third team work. So it'll be interesting to see how that unit plays out. Thoughts on the tight end group?
I don't know about deepest group on the team.
What would you name deepest group on the team?
I think we'd go running back, maybe. Are you going to discount Raheem because he's on a load management program? Because you have him, you have the Von Achan, Jalen Wright in the two practices I saw. Can't say I'm overwhelmed just yet. Chris Brooks, I didn't see him. Sorry,
the practices before you got here,
okay. Chris Brooks, the carries he got yesterday, and then they're also like in the springs, like every time he touches, no, I didn't practice that. It's like yesterday, it was like every time he touches the ball, he's got somebody on him immediately. Can't give him any room.
It's usually Isaiah Mack, who is cool. Who he didn't flash today, but he's flashed consistently throughout training camp. I'm discrediting it primarily because tell me the last time you seen Raheem Mostert carry the ball. Not say that I need most of the carry.
Okay, but that's okay. If you're going to talk about like the players have been practicing, well, maybe because they've had most of their guys available. The only thing with the tight end is they have numbers. Do they have guys who keep? Thank you. Do they have any top shelf talent? They have a really solid player in Durham Smythe, but is Durham Smythe the top 15 tight end in the NFL?
No.
And one other thing is, and I get in trouble for saying, I'm going to say it again, Durham Smythe saying that Julian Hill might be one of the most physical tight end in the NFL. It would mean more if it was coming from somebody from another team. It's his teammates saying that about him.
Yeah, but he's always said that about him from his rookie season. So
I understand that. He's also always been his teammate.
Okay, that's a valid point, but that's also coming from one of the best inline blocking tight ends, and it'll be interesting to see what the evolution of Julian Hill is. But here is Durham Smythe actually breaking down the members of his unit and the growth that he's seen from his teammates.
As a guy being in this offense for the third year, I have learned things through experience. So I'm trying to help him along with that. This is something that kind of takes time, being comfortable in this offense. So if I can help in any regard there, I will. But like I said, those guys are all very mature, go about their business the right way. And they've all gotten a lot better since, I first came across them to this point right now.
You're downplaying yourself because you're one of the most mature rookies that I've covered. What have you seen in Tanner's game that has helped him get it to where it is right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's improved so much over the last 2 years. But, I mean, from where he came from, being a receiver at a small school in college to now being a full-time tight end in the NFL, that takes time. And he's made, great strides. He's still an athletic freak. He was when he got here. He still is that. But he's more way more used to contact. Doesn't shy away from contact. He's transformed his body a little bit. He's a lot bigger. So he's done a lot of things over these last 2 years to improve, while still remaining that physical freak that he was when he got here.
With Julian, what's the next step for him in his development?
I mean, I would venture to say Julian might be the most physical tight end in the NFL across the entire board. I don't care what year you are. He's the most physical player I've ever played with. And he's a professional. From day one, the main thing for him, and this is what he cares about. And that really sets apart rookies, especially undrafted free agents, some guys who care as much as he does. And the sky's the limit for him, He, like I said, he's the most physical guy I've ever played with. He's got talent outside of that, too, that he's building on as a young player. The sky is the limit for him.
So
there's a Mike Gesicki joke in there, right?
What's the Mike Gesicki joke?
Well, Durham Smythe's best friends with Mike Gesicki, and he says Julian Hill is the most physical tight end ever played with. What about Mike?
Oh, come on. That there would be a joke, but Durham Smythe would be making it. I wanted to ask you a couple of things. And I've been having this conversation on Twitter. As you know, I have these conversations on Twitter every once in a while.
Yes, you do.
Dolphin fans seem to expect rookies to flash right away. They're just supposed to walk onto a training camp practice field and just be absolutely dominating. Now, there have been instances where that's happened, like Zach Thomas. I can't name anybody in the old school. I will give you Devon Best. Devon Best came in as an undrafted rookie from Hawaii and immediately secured the starting slot role. Just was killing it. I'll also give you another one, Jimmy Wilson. Remember when Jimmy Wilson came out of jail? He played at Montana, but he played at Montana. He was in the 7th round because he went to jail and spent 2 years in jail. And then he got to Dolphins camp and was like pulling down an interception a day. And, eventually found himself a playing role. Sean Smith is another one who got there and immediately hit the floor running. You know who else I'll give you? Preston. Huh?
I was asking who are you going to give me?
Preston Williams. Remember when that guy got here, started out as a 3rd-team wide receiver, and by week 2, he was a 1st-team guy, and players were talking about Pro Bowl. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Well, I remember X making a comment if he's going to be a wide receiver 1, and all of a sudden this massive love affair with Preston Williams and everybody deciding he was going to be a future Hall of Famer. And when it didn't pan out, I was like, what happened? Well,
injuries happen.
Yeah. When he came back from his first injury, also before he got hurt again, he was also like very inconsistent catching the ball. He wasn't a guy who created a whole lot of separation. And once you stop having the ability to catch everything that's thrown your way to compensate for the fact that you don't create a lot of separation, then you have a problem.
Yeah. I wanted to see if your brain can recall or think of any other rookies. I'm not talking about them starting to shine after the second exhibition game or a month into the season like Jarvis Landry did. Give me a rookie who showed up to training camp and was like, yeah, this is my job.
The one guy who came to mind is somebody who actually looked really good very quickly in camp, but then once the regular season arrived, there may have been like the preseason arrived, it was all downhill. It was Brian Manning. I don't know if you remember the guy who was.
Oh yeah, I wrote a personality profile piece on him. I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, the dude is like, man, he is smooth. It catches everything. And then the games arrived or whatever, and there was like, where was the guy we saw? but immediately was very good. Not like Devon Best, because Devon Best, I've said this story many, many times. I was like watching him from the stands, like that guy's always open. He is always open. Since you and I discussed this before, this is show you, if nothing else shows you how much I value you. I actually did some research on this to try to jog my memory, because the years go on and it's like I don't remember quickly, can't come up with them quickly. I had Zach Thomas, Devon Best. I'll give you another one who, like, very early on to me was like, and it didn't pan out either, even before he had the off the field issue, is Cecil Collins. I remember watching Cecil Collins, who the Dolphins got in the 5th round of the 99 draft out of McNeese State. He only went there because he had off the field issues at LSU.
You the career criminal? Go ahead, continue.
Kind of, sort of, but okay. I remember watching him very early on in training camp, and I'm like, this guy's so effing smooth running the ball. My Lord. It was like Ricky Williams before Ricky joined the Dolphins in 2002. And the ability to see the hole very quickly and the smoothness with which he ran, I was like, this guy's going to be a stud. Didn't pan out even before he, like I said, even before he wound up having legal issues that ultimately wound up landing him in jail. The production wasn't there. It was like 3.4 yards a carry or whatever. Man, in camp, he looked good. I seem to recall Wade Smith also was a 3rd-round pick in 2003. Also looked being pretty good very quickly and wound up getting the starting left tackle job. I don't remember who went to school. I'm forgetting where he went to school.
No, it was
Houston, maybe. University of Houston.
Yeah,
maybe.
it doesn't matter. You know, another one that I forgot to mention to you, Chris McCain. Remember when he came here as an undrafted rookie, and that guy was just a sack machine every single day. Remember when he created the practice squad war with Tannehill, where they were going too hard, and he kept sacking Tannehill as a practice squad player, and Tannehill started crying about it, and basically they were like, shut your BA up, and then it became a whole thing. Chris McCain, really talented guy. Just never, unfortunately, a lot of those super talented guys who a lot of them go undrafted, they got some baggage and they got some issues and they got some demons that they're fighting. And you just hope that they can get them under control. Unfortunately, you can't.
No, you remember what he used to do with kids. He used to take a kid for a walk before every game.
Great guy.
Good guy at heart. He had some, I guess there were maturity issues. He had some problems at Cal before he joined the Dolphins. It looked like that guy could be a stud, and it's just one of those that just never panned out. Those are about the names I had on my list here. And again,
let's move on to something a little bit more pressing that Dolphin fans would love to hear about. Okay. We've had six practices. That's the equivalent of a real NFL week. I don't count these 3 and 3. Okay, give me your top 3 standouts.
Well, you're making it tough because this is where I have to preface my answer by saying I didn't see the first 4 practices, so that's kind of
okay.
Quentin Bell, the guy who completely flashed to me, man, this dude's balling. He's going to be more than.
I said it on yesterday's podcast with Barry. I also named Quentin Bell as one of my top 3 performers of top 3. Come out of nowhere, just you got to pay attention, guys.
Yeah,
learn his name.
Completely notice him at every turn.
Yes.
I think I've noticed Isaiah Johnson a little bit. Another obscure
I
name.
have as well. Big, rangy cornerback. He doesn't win every play, but I've watched him jam people out of bounds. I was like, that's a good – you push a guy out of bounds, he's done for that play, and he can do that on a consistent basis. I like him as well.
Yeah. He had a play today where he was covering somebody maybe 20, 25 yards on the field, and he basically choked him off where he's basically running with him and almost bumping the guy out of bounds as they're running together. I mean, it was brilliant coverage. I should name one person offensively. I mean, they've been rough offensively. The 2 practices I saw, they weren't good yesterday, and they were even worse today. Tanner Connor, maybe the aforementioned Tanner Connor. I like the way Achan's looking.
He looked better without pads, which is no surprise. Yeah, I expected. Come on, dude owns the NFL record for yards in a season. Like, not yards in a rookie season, yards in a season. Like
yards per carry,
yeah, best yards per carry average ever in NFL history. And yes, your offensive line isn't stabilized. It's a little bit of a mess. But I do expect him to take that next step, and he's getting plenty of opportunities right now with Raheem, being on a maintenance program. But I love your names. I had my names were Quentin Bell, Ethan Bonner, and Elijah Campbell, who got the orange jersey today.
Okay.
As I said, Elijah probably safety number 3 right now. And for those who don't know, Elijah was contending for the starting safety spot last year before he got hurt with a knee injury. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, you and I kept talking about him a little while ago, last year.
To close this episode out, I know you were in Norway looking at waterfalls and great landscapes, but then Tua Tagovailoa gets a nice, healthy contract extension, $47 million a year, which makes him, nobody talks about this, but he has the 3rd highest average in the NFL in terms of salary at $47 million a year over the next 5 years. Your take on the contract extension, and I'm not going to add anything. Just go for it.
No, that wouldn't be like you to try to stir the pot. Before I answer that, I think you and I both know this, and we should point that out when we talk about the early standout performers in training camp. Early on in training camp, the defense is always going to be ahead of the offense.
Absolutely.
So the fact that the offense is looking like how Omar would say, booty cheeks right now, not necessarily overly shocking. Well, here, dude, you know my position, and it hasn't changed just because the contract is over. I'm not going to go from. I don't think there was the right move to sign him, and they should have let him play to the 5th-year option. All of a sudden, I'm going to be like, "Oh, it was a great move." I still maintain that the play would have been for them to have him play on the 5th-year option, and revisit. Sorry,
and piss off your entire team. I'm sorry, I said I was not going to chime in, but sorry. Go ahead, continue.
Would it really piss off the entire team? I'm not there with you there, but okay. Revisit next offseason if he completely balls out and answers the remaining question. And it's not moving the goalpost to say that he needs to perform better against quality opponents, not necessarily to win a playoff game. I have said this before. If the Dolphins wind up making the playoffs next year, and I will give a Josh Allen example. If he plays like Josh Allen played in the 13-second game at Kansas City, that's fine. That would check that box. That box has not been checked. And to me, before you sunk, you basically committed big money and another 3 years. To me, I would have liked to seen that box checked. So again, to me, 5th-year option, you play him. You revisit next year. If he checks the final box, then you sit down to you negotiate a long-term contract extension starting then. If not, you have the franchise tag as an option. The franchise tag number for next year would not have been significantly higher than what Tua's cap number is as it is right now. And the transition tag number, if you wanted to go that route and let other teams negotiate for you, would have been even lower than that. So, but happy for him. I hope it turns out to be the right move, and he justifies it. And I'm sitting back a year from now and saying, in retrospect, Dolphins did the right move, and it worked out great for them. But again, my position hasn't changed because the move has happened.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this season plays out. We all know that the Dolphins are a good quality team, good offense. I'm still trying to figure out what's going to happen with the defense, but we've got all of training camp. Dolphins in Depth will be here on days they practice. Alan Poupart, who's with All Dolphins, did you change the name?
The podcast is still the All Dolphins podcast, and the website is Miami Dolphins on SI.
Okay. Well, Alan Poupard does podcasts every day. You guys know him quite well because we did a show together. Please, again, tell the people how to find your work, Alan.
Yeah, for the written content on the website is at si.com/NFL/Dolphins. I'm on Twitter at Poupart, Poupart NFL, and I'm on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, and that's the All Dolphins podcast.
Yes, and so I'll spare you my Tua ranked ahead of Justin Herbert.
No, I don't. No, you can't. Yeah, no, come on, bring it on.
Oh, I took such great joy in that. In the players poll, I don't remember where Justin Herbert was ranked, but Tua's like
75 or something.
Yeah, Justin Herbert's what?
75 or something.
Yeah. He's on his third coach. You know what time it is. He's Tua's significantly ranked higher than Justin Herbert in the players poll. Now, in fairness to Poupard, I do understand that players put very little effort into that poll. Generally, they vote for who their agency, who's members of their agencies, or who they went to school with, or who's that guy? Who's that guy? This is because we've been in there when they're doing it. Who's that guy who plays for the Rams? That DT. What is his name? You know what? That guy who played tackle for the Giants, he was pretty good. What was his name? Because players don't know each other's names. So, they just know they just write down the names that they know. So obviously, I'm going to say in Poupard's defense, every player knows Tua's name. So probably he was on every player's ballot. And maybe that led to him being the 36th ranked player. But I took great joy in the fact that he was ranked by the players drastically ahead of Justin Herbert. And your response to that is what?
That was a slam dunk. And again, the other part you need to mention is that vote is done late last season, like week 16 or 17, whatever, at a time when the Dolphins are probably still in contention for the number 1 seed in the AFC. The Chargers are having a miserable year. Herbert's been on IR for a month because of a wrist injury or whatever it was. So it's like it was complete. Yeah, absolutely. Tua is going to be higher than Herbert by a ton. Doesn't change the fact. And again, it's opinion. You can argue with me whatever you want. I still would rank Herbert higher than Tua. And Omar, along those lines, where in your own quarterback rankings, who did you have higher?
I had Justin Herbert ranked higher, but to my defense, and I've said this consistently, and I will always say this, and I said this in 2020 when I specifically went to the Senior Bowl only to see Justin Herbert and to talk to Justin, not to see him, to talk to him and figure out what kind of personality we're working with here. I would always have gone with Tua, primarily because, and I know it hasn't shown yet, there is a intangible in there that I believe in, that I hope will eventually come out, and he will be one day lifting up a Lombardi trophy because his work ethic, his determination, his commitment, his dedication to cutting out sugar so he can lose 10 pounds, I believe that is eventually going to get them over that mountaintop. And I don't think Herbert will. I am so excited about Justin Herbert's season from this standpoint. He's finally going to have what Tua had his first 2 years, which is no weapons and an abusive head coach.
Yeah. No, well, so I'm going to see. Here's a great fallacy. Okay, just because Herbert, and by the way, I cut out sugars. I don't get any props for that. Sorry.
You cut out sugars? I know you cut out carbs. You cut out sugars too?
Yeah.
Props to you.
Yeah, that's part of the whole thing. Great fallacy in that, because what he had a lot of big names. What he didn't have, because first of all, and Keenan Allen, Mike Williams were injured. The number of snaps they played together, like over the past 2 years, is extraordinarily low. Number one. Number two, they don't create any separation, even though they are good receivers. They don't create, which is something I don't think we can say that in Miami with Waddle and Hill. Number two, no running game. Number three, the offensive line is a complete joke. And while Jim Harbaugh is a taskmaster, can we say it's a gigantic upgrade over Brandon Staley?
We don't
and
know.
This is the part where we say, again, for Dolphin fans here, like the first 2 years with Tua when he was struggling, have the circumstances surrounding him not been used as partly as a justification? And certainly there's validity to that, but you got to be fair and then apply the same logic with Herbert.
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, and you mentioned like but you're talking about like work ethic type of stuff, determination. You're almost suggesting that Herbert doesn't have that. What Herbert doesn't have, and it's pretty well documented, doesn't have like the personality. There's a question whether he's a guy who's going to rally the troop because he's kind of like
the leader.
Correct.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I still stand by. I know and I will not argue with you. 30 of 32 GMs would probably pick Herbert if it was sorry about that. If it was give me either or, probably 30 of 32 would pick. But I wonder about players now. If you had to pick which quarterback you'd rather go against, I don't know if there are some players who would I don't know. I think it's a little bit closer to 16-16.
Well, I mean, are you including the weapons there? I think. I think defensive players don't want to go against the Dolphins, and I think it's more because of Tyreek Hill than it is about Tua, to be perfectly blunt.
Yeah. All right, Poupard. We'll look forward to joining you because this is a fair trade here. So I'll be on these all Dolphin streets later whenever you call my name. And on that note,
whenever I call you to pinch hit, sorry.
On that note, thank you for watching the Miami Dolphins in Depth, and we will see you on when are we working next?
Thursday.
We will see you on Thursday. All right, folks.